Hey everybody, I want to take a little bit of time here to show everybody how to do the lower door hinge rebuild. And this is actually going to be pretty similar all the way back to the 60s, where the problem is your roller up there, you'll see it, there's a flat spot, you see it right there. The problem is it pops, makes noise, super aggravating. I figure since I already have the front end off this car, what I'm going to go ahead and do is take a little bit of time, yank this hinge off, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you how to rebuild it pretty easily. We'll get this whole thing buttoned up. Total time involved, you're probably looking about 30 minutes per side. The only thing I will remind you is you may need heat to get that pin out, and I'll show you in the process. What I'm going to do is pull the thing apart, and I'm going to actually weld it to heat it up, and then I'll actually pull it apart. So it's going to be a lot easier than, well, I mean, probably, if you have a torch, it'd probably be easier, but here, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to go ahead and pull these off. So what you're going to need here is a 13 millimeter for the hinge to the actual frame. And then the door bolts are 15 millimeter. You'll need to pop all those off. The coolest part about this, though, is with the fender off, and you can do it with the door on it and everything, too. It's not that much harder. Open a door, you just want to support the back of the door so that way it doesn't droop down. The thing I like about doing it if you pull the fender off here is usually it stays pretty close. What I'm probably going to do though is adjust it up just a little bit. The doors, you know, it's 1994. It sags just a little bit when you let it go, and I'm going to actually adjust it back up. But the bushings seem pretty good, so not a whole lot of wear in them. So take a second here. I'm going to go ahead and pop this off. I'll be right back. Alright, so got the bolts basically out. So you'll see once again what's cool about this. With the fender off, pop the bolt out, set it down there, pull it out, good to go. Lower door hinge. Ooh, look at how rough that bad boy was. This thing was sticking. Please note, everybody, if these things aren't rolling when you open and close, go ahead and lubricate them a little bit. Otherwise, this right here is going to happen to you. So the next step we got to do is you'll see the spring. Spring has to come off before we get the roller off. Now, this is under a lot of tension. No, you cannot use screwdrivers, a pair of pliers. It will not work. There is a very specific tool which is designed to actually collapse these springs. And sometimes it takes a couple chimes to actually loosen it down. This one I got to loosen it up. Basically what you're going to do is sit this in here. It's going to clamp it down, compress the spring, pops it right out. Super easy. Anybody can do it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pop that out. So give me 2 or 3 minutes. I'll be right back. Alright, so what you'll see here, this is with it compressed. All you have to do, pop it up, take it out, good to go. Keep it somewhere very flat. Don't want that thing popping off. Next thing we have to do is open the hinge a little bit. Now we got to get this roller off. Usually what I found the easiest way to do this is go put it in a vise, hold this, and believe it or not, and push this down. The usually plastic or nylon sleeve here will pop right off with this. Sometimes the sleeve will stay on. Then you're going to take the sleeve off. Sometimes these pins will come out. Sometimes they will not. They usually need a little heat and persuasion. Just think about it. It's been there for a little bit. So let me go ahead. We'll pop this off. What I do if I cannot use heat, or technically a torch, I will take my welder, set it on the highest setting. Just make sure I'd put some tape or something on it so you don't get stuff all over everything. Tape on it, weld it, get it glowing orange. And then, once again, put it in the vise, tap, 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 put like a punch or something blunt, tap it down. Usually it pulls the pin right out. But hold on, let me go ahead and get this roller off and we'll show you how to do it. Alright, so now's one of those times where the roller, as you can see, has seen a lot better days. Came off, but the nylon here did not. So once again, you're going to want to make sure to pull that all off. And then we'll always try it first. I'll go stick it in a vise, clamp here usually. Take something blunt, pop down on the back of it. Sometimes it'll pop it right off, sometimes it doesn't. But let's see what that does. And then once again, if that doesn't usually work, hit it a couple times. Like I said, usually you need some heat or some penetrating oil, make a big difference. Hold on, we'll get this in here. Only got one hand. Alright, so this is one of those times where it's being literally a pain in the butt. You can see it's moved a little bit, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is weld it once again, get this thing red hot. So what I can do is then go take it, put it in the vise, and usually it's very easy after you do it like this. It's nowhere near as hard as fighting it. So once again, if you have a torch, access to one, definitely a little bit easier, a little less stuff to worry about. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it like this. Give me another minute and we'll show you what that looks like. So that booger was a fight. So once again, welded in, got it really hot. I'm going to have to go in there and sand and fix, because this thing I literally fought. But all I'll do is I'll touch it up with some base coat. I went and picked that up today, so we'll just, I got to recut the jams out anyway, might as well do it all at one time. So went ahead, popped this one out. So now it's super easy. Obviously clean up this surface here, which I got my little grinder, clean that up. And it's easy, it's just literally greasing the new one, slide it in, take your hammer, pop it. Just make sure not to make it too tight. You want it easy to rotate, or once again you're going to have the same problem again where it gets flat spots and doesn't work. So hold on, I'll show you what that looks like. Okie dokie. And lastly, we're going to show you what it's like when you get the lower door hinge on. I'll just fit in this as a brand new true fiber 3-inch cowl. I'm starting to like how this thing's coming together. But the big question is, rally stripes or hockey stripes? But just to show you what we got going on here. There we go. Slide this down. So, we got it all buttoned up. We primed a little bit top. Once again, I'm going to cut the jams out anyway. We sanded it down and did all that. But the teal's pretty. But the biggest thing is, once again, you get your brand new roller. And let me show you how easy it is to open the door now. Check that out. See that little wheel turning? That's what you want. So we got it all back together. Door's done. I adjusted the door a little bit too, so you'll see it's like perfect. It doesn't sag at all now. So now we just got to get back. I ordered a set of fenders for it today. Hopefully it'll be in here pretty quickly. We'll fit them up and get the front end on the car, and then once again get the rear bumper on it. And we got to fit the hood. I'm going to leave the hood out in the sun. They want it to be outside or in a 130 degree environment for 3 hours. Which, by the way, comparative to that other hood that I had, I mean, this thing's really nice. Like, let me show you just the bottom side. And once again, this here is the true fiber. So you see true fiber. Like, even the bottom side is prettier. Like, the finish work. It's going to need a little sanding. I'm probably going to go ahead use slick sand on it after I let it dry a couple days. But the fit, the finish, everything about this hood is a lot nicer than the... I had a Duraflex hood. It was an SS hood, and it could be made to work, don't get me wrong, but it was going to be a pain in the butt. And then even comparative, the Stinger hood, which I'm not actually sure who is the manufacturer of it. Like, the whole bottom side is really not finished. It's heavier, don't get me wrong though. That's a thick piece of equipment right here. But I think this would do perfectly fine on this little dinky car. And then once again, get the fenders on, get that stuff all cut out, put on. And then I might even spray the whole car down one time with slick sand and blot the whole car down. And then start spraying it. And once again, my biggest question for y'all is, what do you think? The hockey stripe that goes to about here in the door? I've seen a few people run like a Yinko type stripe. It starts here, runs out, gets feathers out, gets a little bit bigger here. or get some pretty fat, you know, rally stripes, start it down here, and then get pretty big. That's being the real question. Which one do you think looks the best? She's a pretty mean looking car. And I think the only other thing I want to do is drop the front end down just a little bit, probably about an inch. I think I'll be satisfied. But always stay tuned.